The third greyhound that we owned was a much smaller greyhound, and his name was Luckey. Now Luckey came from Ireland, so this greyhound agency here in the Edmonton area started looking towards other places where greyhounds were available because their demand was getting quite high. The secret was starting to get out that greyhounds made these really good pets. So they had a partnership with an agency in Ireland, and so Luckey came to us from Ireland, and he was just a charming dog. He was not as big as our other two boys, but when we looked back, like on the log of like his races, right? Because like that's maybe the thing that people don't realize with greyhounds. I never forget my grandfather when at one time with one of the greyhounds we owned, probably Gil, asked me, said, "Well, do you think it's a purebred?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he's purebred. He's a racing greyhound, right? They have a pedigree. It's like a thoroughbred, right? So Gil, we could go online and we could see his lineage all the way to his great grandparents in like the 70s, right? And same with Luckey. I think with Seymour the same thing. I don't think we ever did that research with Seymour, but with Luckey we did, and he came from Ireland. Cora Luckey was his name, and he came from Cork County, and he was a charming little dog. He took to our family very quickly. It's very nice for these dogs because it's just my wife and I, right? So they kind of get spoiled, and so Luckey he was very cuddly. He would snuggle up and stuff like that. He was just very easy to get along with. Unfortunately for Luckey, he got sick, and so we only had Luckey with us for a couple of years. He just oozed charm though. He really did. Now the only thing with Luckey though that was a little different from our other two greyhounds from Seymour and Gill was Luckey. Luckey, we had to be a little bit careful, particularly early on with small animals because he had a really strong prey drive, and he had actually had quite a decent racing career when we looked at his records. So yeah, he'd been pretty good. Not that Gil hadn't or Seymour hadn't, but Luckey in particular had a pretty decent racing career. And yeah, unfortunately he got sick, and in an effort to have him with us as long as we could, he had surgery. And you know what? After the surgery, he was with us for about another year, and unfortunately he passed on. And that's I guess maybe I still have some unresolved grief with that one because I really did like Luckey too. He was such a charming little boy. He really found a place in my heart quickly. So that was the story of our three boys that came from the racetrack: Seymour, Gil, and Luckey.